Welcome back to the shop, friends. It's been a long time. This is going to be a completely new kind of thing to review for me, but here we go. About the last year and a half-ish, I started playing Pokemon with my 8-year-old. Had an infant in April, 8-year age gap between my oldest and my youngest, and I needed something to do that was just for me and my older son. So I decided to get into Pokemon. He had been into collecting Pokemon cards, but he'd not been into playing the game. I decided to do that, and now we're both into playing it, and I'm probably more into playing the game than he is. I'm absolutely in love with Pokemon. When he gets older, it'll probably change over to something like Magic the Gathering. Maybe it won't. I don't know. Plenty of adults like Pokemon. But, you know, if it does, I'll be into it with him too. I've already started playing Magic, but I only really have time to, get hardcore into one or the other, and I chose Pokemon because of my son. Anyway, today we're going to look at a couple of deck boxes. One is an Amazon special, one is a GameGenic. So this is called a Ua Ono right here. This is from Amazon. It's UAONO, I believe. And I don't remember what they call it, but if I think about it later, I'll put it in the description. But this is a Commander deck box. It's got slots in each side to put a cool card. And then the way that works is you can just pop it out, and then magnetically, you can put a card in there. And then up top here, what we have are, in this side, we have two full-sleeved, single-sleeved competition Pokemon decks. Obviously, this one's sleeved for competition. This one is not sleeved for competition, but it's the exact same sleeves, just one is pink and one is clear. There might be a slight thickness difference between the two, but it's not that much. So this is 120 single sleeve cards. And if I squish them, here, maybe I'll do it this way. You can see, I can very easily fit my giant fat thumb in there. So you can certainly fit a lot of cards. Double sleeved, I don't think 120 would be an issue double sleeved. Could it fit 120 triple sleeved? I'm not sure, but without a doubt, it could do a triple sleeved Commander deck here and here. So that's pretty sweet. This box, Ua Ono, it was $28. Great buy for 28 bucks. The materials feel good. I really like this durable sort of outer material. It's the kind of stuff that you see on cheap Amazon deck boxes. It's not like leathery. It's just sort of like a thick vinyl maybe. It's got kind of a texture to it. It's pretty durable. So you got room up here for easily for 4 single-sleeved Pokemon decks. And then there's this drawer down here. Now, I had my son put his stuff in there, obviously damage counters and things, but you could stack cards in here too, like shove all this stuff off to the side and you have room for extra cards, extra sleeves, what have you. So this is really a cool box, and I actually had originally ordered this box for myself until I discovered the box I'm about to show you next. So I ended up giving this to my son as an early Christmas present, and he was stoked. And I went down to one of our local game stores and bought this full art Terapagos to stick in one side, and then I got the Arven's Mabastiff for the other side, because we both like to play Pokemon Violet on the Nintendo Switch. And Arven, this is just artwork like straight out of the game, pretty much. Arven eating a sandwich next to his trusty Mabastiff. So anyway, that's pretty cool. He was stoked about that. The way the lid works, it's attached permanently back here. It does not fully separate. You can, however, fold it in such a way as to present, the box this way, although it makes getting to the drawer a little weird. One of the things that is pretty cool about this particular box is that the tray comes completely out. So if you decide you want to play, you can just set the tray on top of your box and you have access to everything without having to leave it open. That's kind of nice for space management. On Sundays, we play Pokemon with a bunch of other people in a casual setting, and sometimes it gets real busy. There's not a lot of space. So Ua Ono, great box, 28 bucks. This is however on a different level. And the reason I'm talking about both of them at the same time is because they're basically the same size. The Gamegenic here is slightly larger than this Yua Ono. This is called the Academic 133 Plus. It's made by Gamegenic. It's produced by Gamegenic. It was originally designed as a collaboration between the professor at Tellurian Community College. His logo is all over this thing, and I absolutely love his logo, so I think it's just the coolest thing ever. He collaborated with, I don't know what position the gentleman occupies at Gamegenic. He may be running the whole show, but I guess he's a very famous designer of gaming products like boxes, deck boxes, and other things. I don't remember his name, but they worked together. They collaborated. There was a Kickstarter. These went out as a Kickstarter, and then Gamegenic, it was so popular that they decided to pick it up. And my local game store is a pretty small store, and they had like 8 of these things on the shelf. That's how popular this thing is. It's amazing. So this is a $28 box. This was a $55 retail box. You can find these on Amazon for as little as $40. So, you know, this is significantly more expensive. They can hold basically the same amount of stuff. The only thing that changes is the way they work in the organization. And as I was saying, you know, this is slightly larger, like very barely slightly. So you can see here, it's a little bit wider this way. And it actually looks like they're the same in this dimension. So it just sticks out a little further this way. And of course you end up losing a little bit of space in this guy because on each end you can put the cards in there, in the card holders. So let's get a look inside this. For one thing, there's a lot of different colors and versions of both of these boxes. I generally like purple and black, but I saw this and I fell in freaking love with it because it just reminded me of the 90s, and I'm very much a child of the 90s. I was born in 1984. So I just love this color. And it's pink on the inside, which is even cooler. So first thing, this lid completely separates. So you can, you know, stick it in your backpack, or very cleverly, it was designed that it could just fit right there. So it's completely out of the way. Really cool feature. It has these dimples in it that kind of help secure the lid. So you don't want to try to pop it up. You really want to pull it out and then off. Otherwise you risk damaging these. And I don't think these are like so fragile you have to worry about it, but they're definitely breakable if you are being careless or stupid or having a tantrum, whatever it may be. Okay, so right off the bat, first thing you notice, we have open card storage here, and then we've got, you know, this tray here. Like, what's going on with that? Okay, I love this. I love this so much because when I play, I often have my deck box off to the side, and usually my old deck box, which is not here, is narrower and longer than these, and I have to leave it closed because it has a lid like this one does where it's fixed. And so if I open it all the way, it's just hanging off into somebody else's space. Well, with this one, I can do this, and what's so awesome about it is I have access to my damage counters and my dice. You know, I have my Poison Fire tokens here. I got my V-Star token there. So that's really cool that I can just access that and it can stay organized. Now, I have not carried this in my backpack yet. Normally I carry it in this orientation in my backpack, so it's possible this whole thing could get screwed up every time and I have to reorganize it. But I did carry it from the house out here and it stayed in pretty good shape. So we'll see how it goes. But I've got all that organized here and it's easy to access. Super cool. You can do all kinds of stuff with this tray. Over here, I have 3 fully single sleeved, not fully, I have 3 single sleeved Pokemon decks. Okay, so that is 180 single sleeved cards, and I still have room here that I could put more. I don't mind there being a little bit more room there because it's tight enough with 3 decks that I don't really have to worry about them moving around too much and getting damaged. But it's loose enough that getting in here is just not that hard. Another thing that's really genius about this particular deck box is on each side there's these little cutouts, so you can very easily access your cards. That's on this side as well. Super neat. Another cool thing is there is a divider in here. So we'll talk about that real quick. So right here, there is, if I can get it out, there's a little divider. Okay, you can pull that out. And then what you can do is, like, I have another Game Genic. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a commander size box. I can fit 2 competition Pokemon decks in it, single sleeved, and then I can drop that whole box inside this box if I want to. I probably won't do it that way because it just doesn't make sense for me. But if you don't want to divide this space the way that I'm showing you right now, then there's actually a slot over on this side where you can slide. I'm not going to do it all the way, but you can actually slide this all the way down so it stays with the box and you can still put another deck box in here. Pretty cool stuff. Now, I understand this box has been out for a while and a lot of people have done reviews on it. Maybe this is your first review seeing it. I don't know. I'm just going to quickly go over this stuff. Another thing I like to do, because I'm usually one of the only adults there. There's often other adults, but I'm the only regular. And I like to carry sleeves inside of card holders. And that's because sometimes a kid will open a pack and he'll get like a cool hit, you know, and maybe they didn't bring their binder or whatever. And so I like to be able to give a kid a card holder to get his awesome full art pull or his awesome, you know, special illustration rare pull home safely without damaging his card. So this little divider gives me a little extra space so I can just go ahead and put those right there. So I got 5 of them. There's actually room for more. I could probably fit like 7 or 8 of them back here, but there's 5 of them and that's more than enough. And that also helps me if I happen to open a pack and get a cool pull too. I can drop it in there and then put it in my binder when I get home or whatever. Okay, another neat feature. This can fold down here. All right, well, it can also fold down here and it exposes some drawers. Pretty cool stuff. The way I have these drawers set up right now, because I have big fat fingers, is I have this side out. So this side has magnets on it and that allows the drawer to fold down and then you can pull it. I much prefer that. However, the other side of the drawer does not do that. So if you wanted to put like dice or tokens or anything in there, then you could pull this rigidly out and you wouldn't have to worry about this flap coming down and spilling your dice or whatever. So in this drawer right now, all I have are some sleeves. I've got some extra pink ones just in case one rips or tears or gets damaged while I'm playing. And then I have a bunch of clear ones underneath that. I like to use the clear ones for Pokemon pre-release events, because I'll sleeve my deck that I'm going to play that night. Pokemon pre-releases are basically the same thing as like a Magic draft. It's virtually identical concept. And so like having those sleeves in there just for that, and then I get home and, you know, sort through that later. And then on the bottom, I have a non-sleeved Pokemon deck that I built to play with the kids that maybe don't have a real advanced deck. So like these decks are pretty Gucci. Like this one in particular right here is Pikachu EX Terra. I've got Galvantula EX in there. I've got Iron Hands EX in there. And I've got the illustration rares and the full arts. And like it's just Gucci'd out. Like this is a really expensive show off kind of deck right here. And then these two, one is Okidogi non-EX. There's only one EX in that deck. That's Pheasantipity. And then in this one, I have Mega Venusaur EX. Pretty, you know, they're competition level decks. Like you could potentially win a tournament with Mega Venusaur or with this Pikachu EX Terra deck. You know, are they considered like the best? Like no, Goldango and Dragapult, and there's a couple others, you know, like I think Mega Gardevoirs, or just maybe even Gardevoir EX is considered better. But you know, like they're certainly solid competition level decks. Well, I play with a lot of kids, and I also teach kids how to play. They have a deal with me up at the store that, you know, I tell them, hey, send me the new kids and I'll teach them how to play. So I got tired of playing the Pokemon Academy decks that are just boring. So I built myself like a low power deck that's really interesting and fun, for me at least. That, you know, it takes a little bit more setup. It's a little slower. There's more abilities. And so what that allows me to do is kind of show the kids how things like damage counters and damage are different, and how abilities work, and how you can effectively cheat with abilities. So like you can't attack on the first turn unless you have a card that says you can attack on the first turn. So like in here I have Eevee, who has the boosted evolution ability, and I can evolve Eevee on the first turn immediately, which is not normal. So it's like, it's kind of cool. It's a cool instruction tool, and it's just a little bit more fun for me to play with while not being in a position where I'm just going to absolutely grind some poor 7-year-old into the dirt. Because, you know, I don't really like to let kids win, but I certainly don't want to just steamroll kids either. So I kind of try to cut the mustard somewhere in the middle where it's like, you know, I'm not going to go hard at the kids, but I also don't want to make it too easy for them, because I think participation trophies are bullshit, and that was a my generation thing and it didn't work. And I just think kids need to learn how to handle disappointment. So anyway, enough about that. We're talking about deck boxes. So something else that's really cool about these shelves is that they have cutouts in them, so that if you do have cards inside this, you can reach in and grab your cards. Here, I'll just grab a stack of sleeves. So these are single sleeve cards. I don't know how many cards I just grabbed, but I grabbed like, looks like 50 plus. Man, this might actually fit. Now it looks like it'll come barely shy of fitting a full sleeved 60 card deck. But anyway, so I have all these cards in here, and because of this little cutout in the bottom, I can very easily just scoop them right up. And that is awesome. That's just such a genius design. So there's that. So obviously you have a lot of options depending on the card game that you're into. With this, your options might be a little bit more limited with Magic if you're playing like Commander, because you have 100 card decks. So you could for sure fit 2 100 card decks in here, but it'd be like 100, and if they're triple sleeved, you'd have like probably 120, 130, 140 maybe in here, and then you'd have to divide the rest among drawers, or you could put some up here, or, you know, I don't know. But for Pokemon, this seems to be a great setup. And since we're talking, the main reason I wanted to do this video was because while I was checking out other videos for this, there weren't a lot of guys that were actually like showing how many cards this could hold, like physically showing it. And I was like, man, I think it'll fit 3 full Pokemon decks that are single sleeve, but I'm not sure. Well, I'm here to tell you that it absolutely does fit 3 full Pokemon 60 card decks that are single sleeved with extra room to spare, what I would call a comfortable amount of room. Maybe if you got yourself an extra divider, you could like toss in a couple of alternate cards if you like to change your cards out depending on your matchup, or, you know, whatever. So lots of cool options there. I really love this open tray, because most of the time that I'm playing, it's just going to be sitting here like this, and I have full and free access to giving a kid a card case for his cool pull. I have full access to my damage counters. You know, sometimes people need to borrow some damage counters. Like, yeah, bud, just grab one. You know, like, it's nice that I can leave it open like this, and that's not something I've had. And I'm also pretty new to this hobby, so maybe stuff like this is more common. And then again, you can create something similar with a much less expensive box that has this cool cards on the sides feature right here, as I showed you before, where you just pull this drawer out, okay, and you just set the drawer on top. Now, the downside to that is you could knock it off, but it's so big that I just don't think that's possible. So here's what I would say. If you're into Pokemon, you know, Lorcana, Star Wars, I don't know, whatever you're into, if it's anything like Pokemon, and Pokemon is essentially like Magic the Gathering, but they just don't have a commander for me. Oh man, if they had Pokemon Commander, that would be the coolest. Oh, somebody's probably come up with it. I would love that. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But if you're into a TCGs and you have some cash between these two, absolutely, I would pick this one. I picked this one for myself. I don't regret it. If I had to pick between these two, I would pick this one. I'm sticking with it. It ain't going anywhere. This, though, is a really good alternative to this for, depending on where you buy this from, this could be $22 less. This could be $32, $36, $38 less, you know, like, if you're on a tight budget and you like to TCG it up, you know, maybe look at the Yuuono. I'm not trying to take business away from Gamegenic. I do think that the layout of this box is superior to that one for my purposes. But, you know, maybe you like this layout better. Well, great, you're going to save some cash. The magnets on this lid also do feel a little bit stronger than the magnets on the Gamegenic do. That's something to consider also, but either way, I think these are both great boxes, and it's very likely I'll end up getting another one of these in the future because I'm just going to keep making Pokemon decks, and I really do love this, you know, being able to put cool cards on the side. I mean, that's so cool. But it does, you know, somebody could potentially swipe them, so maybe it's better that you don't do that. I don't know. I don't know if you do it with like really cheap cards, but yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching if you made it this far. And if you were hoping that I was going to review something from Filson or Weatherwold, then I'm sorry to disappoint, but this is definitely a departure from normal for me. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.